We have Greater Auckland, and so Connor Sharp and Patrick Reynolds. Good morning, gentlemen. And all yours.
Kia ora koutou, my name is Connor Sharp and I'm with Patrick Reynolds on behalf of the Transport and Urban Issues charity Greater Auckland. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. We're here to talk to you about a fantastic bridge proposal we've seen for the next Wairunta Harbour crossing. Every time. The reason we're here is because, unfortunately, the current process leaves a lot to be desired. It's a top-down, secretive process dictated by NZTA and Wellington that for decades has spat out unrealistic and unaffordable proposals while ignoring other compelling options. And the reality is, if we want to make progress and actually deliver something great, we need to have an open conversation where Aucklanders and Auckland Council lead the development of a solution that addresses our city's needs.
Kia ora tātou. So there is nothing about the business case process that leads to an enduring solution, and this sort of mega project will need to be cross-party and across a period of time. The secretive process with the same consultants again and again maximizes or incentivizes supersizing the project. Yet there is and gets divorced from the problem case. They suffer from predetermination. So it's important to go back to the problem case. We have a bridge that has performed extraordinarily well in its limited way. It has only ever been a traffic lane bridge, and it's done that extremely well, really, given that it is 67 years old. It has always suffered from lacking full modal capacity. So the missing modes on any future crossing must be the first priority. Secondly, we have an imbalanced traffic network. This isn't about adding a huge amount of extra capacity for more traffic to flood either the motorway system or the city centre with new traffic. But we have a situation where the 8 lanes of the bridge are approached by 5 to 6 on either side. And through the clever use of the tidal system, that is the reason we have this. We have 5 lanes approaching a 4-lane bridge. It works extremely well in the peak direction, but the counter peak now is becoming continually jammed because that's going down to 3 lanes. So the key thing is to balance the traffic lanes as they already exist, because there is no further capacity south or north in the motorway network nor in the local roads. So that's the key traffic task, and also ideally to separate regional from local traffic. Secondly, of course, we have a resilience problem. We have a single point of failure. We have a bridge which can have a very long life, but it is now facing some very serious renewal that will probably take lanes offline. So before that kind of work could be done, we do need to supplement it. But the key idea must be to do it as cheaply as possible, to do it do no more than we need. So it needs to be a complete solution, and it needs to be the most cost-effective one. And we just want to show this example here, not because we necessarily are certain this is the best possible way forward, but that this is the kind of thinking that is being ignored. So this is adding essentially a 6-lane bridge on the most direct route between the viaduct and Victoria Park, so touching both sides of the harbour very lightly, nothing happening on Northcote Point at all. In fact, we can reduce lanes on St Mary's through St Mary's Bay. And this also provides 2 rapid transit lanes that are rail ready. So this is they would initially be used by buses on the Northern Busway, but then they are capable of hosting light rail or metro rail in the future. So this is a step towards getting a North Shore system while having an immediate use. Also, the all-important walking and cycling is also added. This adds, give me another slide. So this is the proposed alignment. 1 foot of the proposed cable stay bridge would be on the current breakwater at Westhaven Marina. It is 30 metres above Westhaven Marina, so masts are not compromised. It is as high as the current bridge, so again vessels are no further compromised. And it lands at the toll plaza, so it's very light touch on the other side. On that drawing, the yellowy orange is new work, green is untouched, and blue is rearranged a bit. This is a very light touch for such enormous amenity. Okay. So here's a capacity chart. We're talking currently 30,000 people per hour currently to 75,000. So that's 150% increase in capacity. So that's future-proofing for decades and decades and decades. It's also hosting every single mode. So the heavy lifting that rapid transit does in terms of people is hugely effective. Okay, we better keep moving. Now, one of the things that has always bothered me, and I was involved in a whole lot of workshops about this at NZTA, are what I call untested assumptions. So one of the assumptions that has always dogged NZTA's position is that a bridge can't be done. It's too much of an intervention in the harbour. I don't follow that reasoning, and I'm not necessarily claiming that I know better than they do, but I think this is an assumption that needs to be tested with the public. A beautiful, magnificent bridge is a possibility. And if you go back and look at the footage of when the original bridge was being built, the public were absolutely enraptured by this process of it being built and were completely involved and invested in it. Also, you get the enormous ability to do a great deal of the work in the harbour and through prefabrication that's much less disruptive. There is no enormous, remember the hole in Mount Eden for the tunnel boring machine? There's going to be 2 of those if you tunnel. But worst of all, the proposed 2 road tunnels from NZTA is just repeating the same thing we've done before, which is only provide for road traffic. The idea that we would come along and do a multi-billion-dollar pair of tunnels again for rapid transit is really fanciful. There is insufficient focus on affordability in the current proposal, in as much as we are allowed to see it, of course, at this point. Okay. This is a great cartoon from when the first bridge was opened, the idea that the bridge graced the harbour. This is the example on the other side is a cable stay bridge in Scotland. Modern bridge technology can be spectacular, can be beautiful, and incredibly effective and resilient. Okay.
So I think the thing about this is the best, most cost-effective, comprehensive solution we've seen, but it's also just a starting point, and we think this is a really, really important debate, especially heading into the development of the 30-year transport plan this year. And so we want to work together with, you all as well as the public to develop a solution that we can actually be proud of for generations to come. So, yeah, happy to take any questions, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys. First question, Ken.
Thank you. Yeah, really, really interesting. Just a question. Whenever I hear talk about tunnelling, I keep thinking of all the material that's going to come out of those tunnels. What sort of percentage, of the calculation, what's the embedded cost in getting rid of all that compared to what I would think would be? I'm just trying to understand myself the concept difference between those two things.
Yeah, truckload after truckload after truckload. It's important to note that in other places, say like Crossrail in the UK, they were able to use the rail network to take away spoil. They've used barges. We just put them on trucks and burn diesel and chug them through the city centre. And the city rail link tunnels were very small in diameter compared to 3-lane road tunnels, which meant obviously the volume goes up enormously. And it depends a great deal on the price of diesel, which is kind of opposite at the moment. So that is a big disruption to the existing road networks. You know, a decade or more of trucking that stuff around. Thank you, Councillor.
I think some context as well, like our understanding is a proposal like this, you know, you could do between maybe $4 and $6 billion, whereas if you're looking at a tunnel, it's probably upwards of 10, 15, 20 billion. So it's a substantial difference.
Thank you. John?
Thanks. Great presentation, guys. And I certainly agree with your comments about the secretive nature of anything to do with the Harbour Bridge. We as a council haven't even formulated a position or even studied things. So thank you very much for coming in and putting this before us. Did you say that was one of those clips there? Was that the fourth bridges in Edinburgh, the ones from Scotland?
Not quite clear where it is.
Okay, so the fourth bridges are three bridges side by side and aesthetically quite stunning and spanning three different centuries. The latest one opened in 2017 for about 1.3 billion, I think, from memory, going right to the old rail bridge that was built in the 1890, still used to take traffic. Now, over there, and I just wonder, I'd be interested in your view, over there, the newest bridge, the one built in 2017, that just carries cars, trucks, vans and motorcycles. The road bridge that was having similar troubles to our bridge in terms of maintenance, used by buses, taxis, pedestrians and cyclists, and then we have this old historic beautiful rail bridge that takes the rail network north. Now, your configuration is a little bit different than that, but as far as that notion of side-by-side, aesthetically quite stunning and each contributing to different modes of transport, do you see any possibility where yours could be adapted to, you know, to be very similar to something that's actually working really well in another big city in Britain?
All over the world, there are examples of combined mode bridges. Finland has just opened a light rail and walking and cycling bridge, for example, with no traffic lanes. There's also the Tilikum Bridge in Seattle is the same. This is not novel. It is standard. The idea that we can't have another bridge because we've got one, I've never understood. I mean, what, they couldn't build the Williamsburg Bridge because they already had the Brooklyn Bridge? It's just beyond me. And the tourism opportunities of being able to be out there in the glorious Waitemata Harbour are enormous. A road tunnel is a very inflexible, blunt instrument, and tunnels are extremely expensive to operate, much more expensive than bridges. So they're complaining about a 25 per annum maintenance bill on the current bridge. Annualise that out, it's $250 million over a decade, that's quite a lot. Okay, that's absolutely true, but tunnels will cost that as well. And we're talking about a 6-7 kilometre tunnel, 3 times the length of Waterview. Any kind of problem in there, that's a very serious risk. Whereas we could be out in the middle of the harbour on all modes and experiencing it.
The other thing about this proposal is it's quite flexible. So, you know, while if you can see the configuration here, you know, we're putting southbound traffic on the new bridge, but northbound on the existing bridge. If you had to, for example, do major renewal works on the old bridge, you could also, you know, move traffic onto the new bridge and vice versa. So you kind of maintain that capacity while, you know, there are stuff happening. So.
Thank you. Sarah?
Kia ora, thanks for this. I believe it's the Queens Ferry crossing that's pictured rather than the fourth road or rail bridge. So there's 3 crossings over the Firth of Forth. There's been issues, famous issues, with some of the infrastructure on the fourth rail bridge, but it is iconic, and I believe they've sorted the paint issue now. And I'm going to take this opportunity to bring up Scottish literature and say that we avoid anything that resembles the Tay Bridge, immortalised by the poet William McGonagall. Right, my actual question. When we're talking about bridges, one thing that isn't in your presentation, one thing that I profess ignorance of is the kind of average lifespan of the bridge. So with the second crossing, is there an anticipated extension to the lifetime of the current harbour bridge? And if so, what would that be? And what's the anticipated lifetime of this potential proposal here?
Okay, so when I was a director of NZTA, we had a whole day site visit on the current bridge. This is up in 2022, and the engineer in charge of maintaining the bridge, under a great deal of cross-examination, assured us that with maintenance, the effective life of the bridge is infinite. Important, with maintenance. Now, NZTA does very dutifully do maintenance, but I do believe they are saying the truth when they say that it does need substantial renewal at this age, and this, or a project like this, enables that to happen. We could take both clip-ons off and rebuild them and still have the same number of traffic lanes that we have now with this proposal. We would have 4 on the new bridge, 4 on the old bridge in the middle centre span. So in terms of getting further life out of what we've already got and not wasting that current investment, this is the kind of model. And it's key that the new crossing is combined modes, because the real heavy lifting is done by rapid transit. The volumes, and we know this from the busway, which is one of the 3 reasons the current bridge still functions, because of the enormous pressure that the bus traffic take off at peak times, along with the clever tidal use and the upper harbour crossing, of course, which has enabled the current bridge to work.
I think regarding maintenance as well, as Patrick said, it's sort of ship of Theseus, just to bring up my own reference, but I think the other thing about, I guess, there's often a lot of urgency put forward in terms of the existing bridge needing maintenance, and you know, if you think about how there's no reason why you couldn't build a bridge like this within a decade, whereas if you think about what a tunnel might be, we think about the experience of, say, City Rail Link, like that's going to take a lot longer, and that's assuming everything goes perfectly. So when we do have to do major, renewals on the existing bridge, it's much better to deliver a solution that we can actually deliver within a reasonable time frame rather than something that might take 10, 20 years or longer. So.
And is that part of the argument for a second bridge crossing as well, and that if, given the importance of maintenance and the life and durability and all that of a bridge, if one needs to be closed for an extended period of time for some substantial maintenance, there's an alternative. Yeah. Is that part of the argument?
Yeah, and I think, because the other thing as well is, like, building a bridge like this, it still doesn't even exclude you in the future from doing a tunnel if that's something that Auckland needs. So there is very little reason, at least from our perspective, we could be wrong, but that you can't just build a bridge first and then, I guess, reassess if you might need that tunnel in the future. But, as I said about the flexibility, if one bridge does need maintenance, you can, close off or close part of, one bridge and move stuff onto the other. It provides flexibility, it provides that true resilience.
Yeah, again, it's interesting, the Firth of Forth comparison, because that's 3 bridges servicing a population of about a third the size that we're talking about here. So it's not, disproportionate to be talking about 2 bridges for this population. Got it.
Righto, no answer to that, so we'll move to Desley.
Thank you, very interesting. My question is around what happens when you get to the other side. Do you think that in your modelling, because I think one of the biggest problems coming up into the same place is you've got all this traffic and then you get onto a motorway network that actually goes down to sort of 2 lanes at Constellation. Are you convinced that the traffic flow won't be bottlenecked when it gets to that narrow bit over both ends?
If we were adding many more lanes, yes, there's nowhere for it to go. But this essentially just balances the existing lanes on both sides. We do think it would be extremely unwise to add surplus lanes, because the only places they could go on the city side would be the city centre or the inner suburbs and local roads on the shore, which would be really counterproductive.
Kind of, that's the point I want you to really stress, because in every other option, it's looking to be other lanes. So I think that's the key to this proposal.
Okay, Richard?
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, a similar question to Deputy Mayor. If the rumours are true, it's sounding like it's going to be a bunch of lanes and probably no public transport, which, you know, I bus most days, or even if I drive over the bridge is the fastest part of the ride. How would it even land, or even in your, so probably not in yours, but with 4 to 6 lanes of new traffic, how would that land on the North Shore? The way you would have seen, I imagine, massive viaducts and things.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen, this is the beef of the centre of the problem. We haven't seen the latest proposal, but from what I'd previously seen, they envisage enormous interchanges on the shore. I mean, it's very invasive. Also, there is a problem with the current approaches to the bridge being very close to sea level, and whatever we do, there will need to be a project to defend them against storm surges. And this proposal here, which does add an additional walking, cycling, and one extra direction of rapid transit on the northern approach, gives you an opportunity to do a project like they've just completed in Wellington, an ecologically sensitive bund to defend the existing routes. So it's a light touch, but at the same time it future-proofs what there is.
I was going to say, I think hopefully we did send some other, I guess, materials that has a little bit more detail on some of the approaches that might be useful, and we have other detail that we can provide that we've gotten from the people who, have designed this proposal, which we're, happy to send around as well. So.
Yeah, I was just in Melbourne in the weekend for a friend's 40th, and we used the Westgate Tunnel, which was, I think, $5 billion when it was proposed, and it was $10.5 billion when it finished. But that, I think, is a maximum toll of like $16 a day. What are you looking? Have you heard or done any work on the expected tolls for?
Yeah, no, this is absolutely critical to this, because this is why we're so focused on affordability, because how you fund it, and I have, again, this is not public, but there's a great deal of talk about tolling the new and the existing, but also charges on every household in Auckland, all sorts of schemes. Now, the more expensive your project, obviously, the more punishing they will be, and there is also a kind of conundrum for the traffic planners, because the higher the toll, to make the toll meaningfully address the cost, that will reduce driving. I mean, it is a form of demand management, and certainly if you get to $16, not only will there be a revolt, I suspect, by your voters, but also traffic demand will drop enormously, and the buses will be completely swamped.
Yeah, and last question, just obviously, I support public transport first, because adding 6 more lanes of traffic would be a disaster for the whole city. But where does this project, and I haven't read the details, sorry, land? Because there was always a plan to have rail replace the busway, but with getting back towards 8 million trips a year, you can't close the busway for 3 or 4 years while you dig it up. So what's the...
I can talk to that. And this has been done all over the world. You can you can take out sections of the busway, run the buses on the shoulder on the motorway. Buses are completely capable of running on the motorway. You temporarily make that into a bus lane for each section, and work day and night to get that track down and do it in operating sections. You can also, and this is common around the world, run buses on routes with track. So, it's messy, but engineers are clever people. This transition can be managed. It has been done overseas, and I think it's important that is explored, because just just saying, oh, we can run a different route. I mean, the right-of-way is the enormous cost. Just saying we can just hallucinate a new rapid transit route, I mean, you're talking multiple billions the North Shore is a very crowded space, and you'll be tunnelling or elevating to do that. So I think we should look very closely at converting the busway to higher capacity as it is needed, and it will be.
I think this is also why I sort of spoke about, this is kind of the conversation that should be fitting into discussions around the 30-year plan, where, you know, yes, we actually do want to find a good solution for this specific project, but it does need to fit in with the existing network as well, and like how you might prioritize or like, you know, schedule, like maybe you build this bridge and then it's, you know, in 5-10 years you do one stage of conversion or something like that. So yeah.
And there's a really critical point. We learnt a very good thing from the rail revival in Auckland this century, which is to break enormous projects into chunks. So when the government agreed to rail electrification, they did not agree to the City Rail Link, even though that electrification made the City Rail Link a more viable project later. So we are proposing this bridge has rapid transit lanes on it. There is no need to solve the problem of a rail system on the North Shore in order to build that. You build rapid transit right of way across the harbour that can adapt to whatever you choose in the future, that is capable of hosting it, so that you break a very big projects into chunks that can be digested.
Yeah, future-proofing. But
Yeah, real future-proofing.
Okay, Daniel.
Yeah, sorry I was late. It might have been addressed in the presentation prior to my arrival, but yeah, and you've kind of touched on this with the tolling issue, but the NLTF is oversubscribed. It appears it's going to become more oversubscribed, and I'm quite interested to understand. I mean, Patrick, from your time at NZTA, do you know what the annual renewals cost is for the current bridge, and what we would be hypothecating for the renewals cost for this new bridge? Because that's the thing that I've never heard government actually address, is the ongoing cost. Nobody's given me a figure. So you were on the board. Have you got any figures?
Well, I mean, without a real design, you can't have exact figures. But the iron fact is that tunnels are more expensive to operate than bridges. So there's generally a ratio at grade. If at grade is 1, elevated is 4, and tunnel is 10. That's that sort of rule of thumb ratio.
So I'm not bridge versus tunnel debate. I'm not interested in that. I mean, really, as a resident, as a taxpayer, as a ratepayer, as a commuter, I'm interested to know what is the actual renewals cost of the current bridge up there, because I just don't think that that's actually fully understood. And you know, whatever happens in the future, there's going to be, I guess, a call on the NLTF, which is extremely oversubscribed, and I haven't heard from any government how they intend to fund the renewal of these critical assets.
Well, I think the key thing to hold in mind is that renewing that existing asset will be cheaper than fully replacing it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
Again, there is a lack of transparency from the owner and the operator of it. And I mean, it's a very dutiful organisation, but at the same time, I think there's a fair bit of catastrophizing that has suddenly become very public. And I think we can say there's a certain amount of motivated reasoning going on about that.
it's to our enormous frustration that like we don't actually know a lot of them. It sucks.
It must be even greater for you.
Okay, we'll keep moving on because we just remind people this is not our decision. Lottie.
Kia ora, Chair. Sorry, I withdrew my request. I think a lot of my questions have been answered, but I did want to just say that I support the kaupapa. I've lived in Asia where they love a suspension bridge. There are bridges and beautiful bridges and very well-used bridges all over Japan and South Korea. So I support anything going forward. Kia ora.
Mike.
I have more of a comment than a question. It's a very interesting topic, but I'll resist the temptation to pile on, and I'll make a comment at an appropriate time later in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Christine's not here, so there are no more questions. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming along. Is there any discussion on this?
Thank you.
Just a question to you, the same one as last time. Given the topicality of the Harbour Bridge, is that workshop coming up soon?
Yes, it is. And so NZTA have advised, they haven't given us the exact date, but they have advised and confirmed this morning that we will be having a workshop prior to any announcement. And, but, you know, again, in line with our regional or Auckland City deal or whatever we've got. So
to let us know what they've decided.
Well, no, I don't know, and so they'll come along. So you can ask the questions there. Okay. So no further comments. Someone like to move? Let it be thanked. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Bo. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thanks, gents.
Thank you. We'll send you some more details as well.
Okay. There is no local board input, so we will move to Kāinga Ora update. So Nick Howcroft and Melanie Mason, welcome. And